Hello and welcome to another Deck Tech here on Cheap SMT. Today I've got a budget brew for you that should come in on Magic Online somewhere between 30 and 40 tickets once all the cards have been released. So let's dive in. This deck is a take on blue-red spells. So at PT Kaladesh, Pierre Dejean top-8'd with a blue-red spells deck that was creatureless, that was built around Dynavolt Tower and playing a lot of instants and sorceries. And Aggro Revolt released a great card for this kind of a deck in Baral, Chief of Compliance. Baral reads instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 generic less to cast, which is obviously going to be great, and he also allows you to loot whenever you counter a spell. We play playsets of Baral and Dynavolt Tower, and therefore we are heavily incentivized to play lots of instant, as well as other spell-loving creatures. Unlike the Pro Tour deck, and many other iterations of blue-red spells, we are not a creatureless deck, as we are playing Baral. So we also play 4 copies of Stormchaser Mage as a good beatdown creature, standard version of Monastery Swiftspear, I guess. We also play 2 copies of Thermo Alchemist. Thermo Alchemist is a good blocker and can also ping your opponent for a fair amount of damage each turn. It's quite important when we're trying to end the game quickly. We're an aggressive burn deck in a way. And with all the spells we're going to be playing off of Baral, we should be able to untap and do a fair chunk of damage just by tapping Thermal Alchemist. The rest of the deck is made up of 24 instants and sorceries that will be made cheaper by Baral and trigger Dynavolt Tower, Stormchaser Mage, and Thermal Alchemist. There's an emphasis placed on burn, as it is both a removal spell and can go direct to opponent's face. So here we go. We play 4 copies of Shock. Shock is, it's a worse lightning bolt, but it's going to be quite useful. 2 damage, trigger prowess, untap the Thermal Alchemist, works nicely. Also disrupts the Saheeli Cat combo, which I think makes this deck quite favoured if that's strong force in the metagame. We play 4 copies of Incendiary Flow with Baral's cost reduction. This is a sorcery speed lightning bolt. Pretty reasonable. 3 copies of Fiery Temper. We can also have this as a lightning bolt. We can discard it. We play Collective Defiance as a very versatile card. It can do 3 damage to the face and 4 damage to a creature. It can also make you loot away if you get a handful of lands, for example. So it's very versatile, very good in this kind of deck. We also play 3 copies of Lightning Axe as some bigger removal. It obviously works really nice with Fiery Temper. Play 4 copies of Take Inventory, because with Baral this reads 1 mana, draw a card for each Take Inventory in your graveyard. So, 1 mana, trigger prowess, draw a card. 1 mana, trigger prowess, draw 2 cards. And so on. It's quite a strong effect. And we also play 2 copies of Anticipate, the cheap form of card selection, and a way to trigger off spell-based abilities. Onto the mana base. We are a 2-colour deck, so it's pretty simple. In this budget deck, I have avoided playing any Wandering Fumarole, as they are quite expensive, both in paper and on Magic Online. So we play 4 Spire Bluff Canal as the most expensive card in the deck, but they are kind of needed here. We need a lot of coloured mana symbols when we play a lot of spells in a turn, and having a fast land I think is quite important. We play 4 Aether Hub, as fixing. The deck doesn't generate energy in any other way, so this is like a one-shot land. So it's possible you may want to replace these with the red-blue dual land out of Shadows over Innistrad, Highland Lake. But I'd definitely try these. And we also play 6 islands and 8 mountains as our basics. It's just a higher number of red cards in the deck. But we want to make sure we have both colours of mana, so we can play Stormchaser Mage on turn 2, and Baral is quite important, so having access to blue early is key as well. So a pretty even split with a slight favouring of red. Onto the sideboard. One of the greatest strengths of blue decks is counter spells post-board. You can be very specific with them. And obviously with Baral, we are incentivized to play counter spells. So we play 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Negate, and 2 Disallow. They're obviously all for different matchups. Ceremonious Rejection for vehicles and artifacts, and to some extent Eldrazi. Negate for, I guess, artifacts and vehicles as well. But also for Saheeli combo, you can counter Saheeli. Disallow with Baral's reduction becomes a better counter spell. So we can basically counter any spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. So any game where you think you're going to be able to hold up mana for a counter spell, I think you'll bring Disallow in. We also play in the sideboard 3 copies of Radiant Flames. First note, Radiant Flames and Baral is a bit of a nombo. If you have Baral out, you can only cast Radiant Flames for 2 colours, which I think most of the time won't be enough. I still think it's worth having though, because Radiant Flames is the sweeper we have access to in this kind of a deck. I think it's important to have a sweeper for against any white weenie decks. And we can always cast Radiant Flames for 3 off of Aether Hub. Say we tap Aether Hub for white mana, we can cast Radiant Flames for 3, which is useful. We also have access to Niblis of Frost in the sideboard. So in the original blue-red spells decks, Niblis was a 4-off in the sideboard. You could bring it in and go from a non-creature deck to having quite a good threat when your opponent are taking all their removal out. This surprise aspect is less good because we already have creatures, so opponent probably won't remove all their spot removal. Niblis, however, is still a good card in a spell-heavy deck. It's better against creature-based decks where we can play spells, burn our opponent out, and keep creatures tapped down. Effectively keeps us alive for longer, whilst acting as a fairly sizable flyer with prowess. As well as Baral, we have access to his expertise. And this is just a great tempo card. We can bounce creatures and play our own card. It can function a bit of a time walk, and I think there are going to be matchups where it's particularly good. So it's a one-off. It works very nicely with our next card, Fevered Visions. So Fevered Visions is a pretty standard blue-red sideboard card for games that go long. It allows you to keep drawing cards. If your opponent can't play out their hand, they're going to take damage. The deck in the first game is set up to quite an aggressive deck, and it only has take inventory and anticipated card draw. So having access to something like Fevered Visions post-board gives you a steady supply of cards and potentially punishes your opponent. And we also play 1 copy of Metallurgic Summonings. Again, in long games, this functions as effectively a card draw spell by returning all instants and sorceries to your hand. It can also create some tokens if you need chump blockers, for example. They're not going to be big tokens because we're not playing massive spells, but it can provide a stream of chump blockers and then get all your instants and sorceries back so you can finish the game out. So that's the deck tech. Tell us what you think in the comments below. If you like it, then please give us the thumbs up. Your support means a lot. Also, remember to subscribe to the channel. There have been other deck techs you will be able to find on our page. And there will be more Aether Revolt videos going up, particularly limited videos once it comes out on Magic Online. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. They're all under CheapAssMTG. It's a great way to communicate with us and follow what we're doing, particularly with testing for events like Game Day and PPTQs. And yeah, I hope I'll see you again for future videos. Bye for now.